Chapter 184 Might of the Golden Light Brick. When the fully bearded man saw Han Li with his hand still on the talisman, he was not worried. The wood attribute defensive barrier he wore had frightening defensive power that could fundamentally ignore common attacks. Furthermore, on the basis that his opponent was a novice who cultivated to the 11th layer, he didn't believe that he could possess a talisman of great strength. At most, it would be an elementary mid-grade talisman. Because of this, he continued to walk forward without taking notice, opening his pouch as if he were about to bring something out. But when he was suddenly rooted and placed by the yellow light barrier which he recognized as the earth prison technique, the fully bearded man's expression finally changed, realizing that things had taken a turn for the worse. At this time, a strange dark green snake with a pair of purple wings leapt out from his pouch. As soon as it appeared, the snake immediately made a few odd gwa-gwa cries and began to viciously attack the yellow barrier, causing the barrier to tremble continuously. Its strength was not small. When the fully bearded man saw this, his spirits were slightly lifted. He took out another pouch to release another spirit beast, hoping to combine their efforts to break through the earth prison. He was confident that he would be able to escape in a short period of time. When he escaped, he would definitely pull out his opponent's ribs one by one to quench the hatred in his heart. Han Li didn't even pay attention to his surrounding enemies. In a swift movement, he rushed towards the man from the heavenly imperial fortress. His movements were quick, and throughout the whole way he seemed to be darting in and out of view, even leaving behind a series of afterimages, making him seem almost phantom-like. At the same time, Han Li gently patted the storage pouch near his waist. The original gold beetle swarm blades suddenly switched with another similarly small magic tool that he clutched tightly in his hand. At this time, the man from the heavenly imperial fortress finally awoke from his beautiful dream, instantly seeing the strange scene unfolding in front of him. His expression changed dramatically. He hurriedly backed up and flipped his palm, causing a talisman to appear. Meanwhile, Han Li was still at least 30 meters away from him. The man relaxed, thinking that there was more than enough time to cast the talisman. However, before he was able to use his spiritual power to activate the talisman, he was stunned to see that the charging Han Li suddenly smiled mysteriously at him. In turn, one of Han Li's hands gently waved at him, a movement similar to a greeting between two familiar friends. At the same time, he also felt a slight itch on his neck, as if he had been bitten by a mosquito. The man from the heavenly imperial fortress stared blankly, yet to realize the other side's intention. In a moment of turmoil, his eyes dimmed as he lost consciousness. Brother Yan. Standing off to the side, the fully bearded man from Spirit Beast Mountain involuntarily cried out with wide eyes, having seen the whole thing clearly. He personally saw that Han Li was able to kill his close friend with a simple wave of his hand from about 3 meters away. His friend's head rolled on the ground with a goo-loo-loo sound, separated from its body. However, the now headless body continued to back up a few steps until it fell over on the ground, blood spurting from its neck about a few feet high with hoo-hoo sounds. The fully bearded man suddenly felt his hands and feet turn ice cold with a cold sweat down his back. The methods the opponent used to kill his friend were too demonic. He had seen clearly that his friend was killed without contact, and the opponent for sure hadn't used any kind of magic technique. Boy, as soon as I get out I will hack you to pieces. Although he felt beads of cold sweat exuding from his forehead and was filled with grief for his friend, the fully bearded man maintained a menacing attitude to strengthen his courage, bracing himself and standing firm. In actuality, however, he had decided in his heart that as soon as he escaped from the earth prison technique, he would immediately run far away, biding his time. Revenge was a dish best served cold, after all. The boy in front of him was too strange. Not only did he have the high-grade earth prison technique talisman, but he also could kill people with invisible weapons, making him truly difficult to deal with. Getting revenge for his friend is indeed important, but first he must preserve his own life. It turned out that the seemingly ferocious fully bearded man was actually a person as cowardly as a mouse that bullied the weak yet feared the strong. Most people would be surprised by this. Of course, Han Li had no way of knowing his opponent's thoughts. All he saw was that the opponent had released another pangolin-like beast that, along with that strange snake, had begun to fiercely attack the yellow barrier. The fully bearded man had also taken out a pair of iron rod-like magic tools to aid the two beasts in smashing the barrier, causing it to flicker with light incessantly. The earth prison technique could not be maintained for much longer. As soon as Han Li realized this, he took out his golden light brick treasure talisman with one hand, bringing it in front of his eyes and staring at it intently in order to activate it. If he were to use any other normal magic tool, he simply could not feel at ease. His opponent, after all, was a 13th layer expert. If he was unable to kill him with one blow, there would be big trouble when his opponent escaped. Until now, he still remembered the exhausting battle with Senior Marshal Brother Liu, and at that time Senior Marshal Brother Liu had only been at the 12th layer. Despite this, he had not expected that he could actually use the transparent thread to finish off a 12th layer opponent. However, the fully bearded man was already on guard and would not be defeated so easily. The fully bearded man under the earth prison technique, seeing the weird movements of the talisman in Han Li's hands, felt his heart tense. He tightened his grip on the pair of black iron cudgels. But the yellow barrier of the earth prison technique was extremely strong. Even if it had changed shape and darkened to the point of being in danger of fracturing, it continued to maintain its integrity. Upon seeing this, the fully bearded man became so angry that he almost vomited blood. At this time, he suddenly felt a gust of an astonishing amount of spirit power rocketing up from Han Li's direction. He couldn't help but slowly turn his body and look in his direction. He saw Han Li's hand emitting a strong golden light, and a lustrous, shining golden rectangular object slowly rose up, floating in midair. Treasure talisman. The fully bearded man's expression changed dramatically, and he began to yell in terror. He had realized the nature of the golden light brick. What he didn't know, however, was that Han Li's face at this moment was also deathly pale with alarm. The floating object was furiously draining all of his inner magic power steadily, without any way of stopping it. It seemed as if it would suck him dry. The quietly complaining Han Li, as he was suffering, began to curse the store that had sold him this item. How is this a treasure talisman? It's clearly a leech that wants to kill me. However, when a third of his magic power had been drained, the treasure talisman finally stopped its wild movements and calmed down. Control over it once again returned to Han Li. At this time, Han Li did not hesitate and pointed, causing the golden light brick treasure talisman to immediately shoot out. It flew straight towards the fully bearded man, who was still trapped under the earth prison technique. His face became ashen from fright. The golden brick began to expand, and in the blink of an eye, it became as large as a room. Spiritual chi revolved around it and radiated golden light in all directions. Its pressure was truly astonishing. When it reached the fully bearded man's forehead, the golden brick was like a small mountain in size, and it came down with a violent clap. Pang! Ah! After the loud sound and fully bearded man's blood-curdling scream, the entire earth shook violently. Han Li was both surprised and happy. His expression was somewhat strange. Was it really possible to eliminate a 13th layer disciple that easily? Han Li had some doubts. As soon as he retrieved the treasure talisman, the golden light brick immediately returned to its original form and flew back into Han Li's hand. An extremely large crater had formed in the place where the golden brick had slammed into the ground, almost 30 meters wide and a meter deep. As for the fully bearded man and his spirit beasts, they had become a pile of mud, indistinguishable from one another. The fully bearded man really had been killed. Han Li was at a loss. It was as if he couldn't resist a single strike in the slightest. Was it that the fully bearded man was too weak, or that the golden light brick was simply too strong? Han Li was unable to decide. However, after generating such a loud noise, it was no longer safe to stay in this place. Han Li quickly became sober. After he destroyed the two corpses, he took the 5 or 6 storage pouches and left the area, leaving the skyline. Continuing to walk forward would most likely have led to a large forest, which was incidentally also an ideal place to ambush and kill people. Perhaps after entering the forest there would be another fierce battle waiting for him. Thus, before entering, he decided to find a place to rest a little and restore his magic power in order to protect himself.